Hey guys, welcome to my channel. In today's video we're gonna discuss about the crime that took place in Japan. Disclaimer. This video is only for education purpose. I'm not disrespecting the victim or their family in any way. The killer who performed plastic surgery on himself. This crime was so crazy that it was later made into a movie and even a book. That's how crazy it was. His name is Tatsuya Ichihasi, who was born on January 5, 1979. His mother is a dentist and his father is a medical doctor. After graduating from the Department of Horticulture at Chiba University in 2005, he did not work and lived on a monthly allowance of about $760 from his parents. From this we can know that he was pretty rich. Or let's say he didn't have to suffer from any monetary problems. Ichihasi was 28 years old at the time of the murder and lived in the city of Ichikawa in Chiba. In March 20, 2007, he approached a foreign woman named Lindsay Hawker. She was born to Bill and Julia Hawker, who lived in England. She moved to Japan in October 2006 to teach English at the Koiwa branch of Nova in Tokyo, which was Japan's largest private English conversation school. She had plans to continue with her master's, but first she wanted to explore the world like many others. She decided to work as an English teacher in Japan for a year. First meeting. It was on March 20, 2007. Lindsay Hawker was on her way home after her English teaching job at Nova School. She met Ichihasi, who claimed that he was one of her students, but she denied it and tried to cycle away. But Ichihasi was persistent. He ran after her up to her apartment. Out of breath, he asked for a glass of water. Since Ichihasi now knows where she lived, she believed it was best to let him in her apartment, and made sure to introduce him to her housemates. It was a precautionary step to let Ichihasi know that she did not live alone. When he was inside, he proposed that Lindsay could teach him English. The lesson will be for $42 per hour, which is much higher than average. Lindsay agreed with the condition that the lesson would be conducted in a public place. Before he left, he did a quick sketch of Lindsay and left his details, including his name, telephone and email address. 4 days later they met in a cafe. At the end of the lesson, Ichihasi said he left his wallet back at his apartment. Afterwards, they caught a taxi to his apartment, a few hundred yards away. Hawker told the taxi driver to wait for a short time and went to the apartment. 7 minutes later, taxi driver left after she failed to return. The next day, Lindsay's housemates reported her missing. So did Lindsay's workplace. When Lindsay failed to show up for 2 of her classes consecutively, Lindsay's parents, back in UK, 8 hours behind Japan's time zone, were worried when their daughter, who regularly checked in, failed to check in. With Tatsuya's information left behind in Lindsay's apartment, the police headed over to his apartment complex to investigate. However, Japanese law forbids law enforcement to knock on Tatsuya's apartment without a proper cause. Tatsuya fled as soon as he noticed the police presence. With 9 police officers scattered around the apartment complex without radio communication, he managed to escape barefooted. The policeman did manage to snatch his rucksack that contained his workout clothing. Inside Tatsuya's apartment, police found Lindsay's items scattered on the floor. On his balcony, they found a hand sticking out of a pile of soil in a bathtub. That night, Tatsuya's neighbor heard a strange metal sound dragging across the floor. It was assumed that was the time Tatsuya moved his bathtub to the balcony. The hand belonged to Lindsay. Her long brown hair was shaved off. Her badly bruised and bound body was buried under a mixture of sand and soil. Ichihasi had bought the materials over the course of 6 visits to his local hardware store in the hours leading up the arrival of the police. It was said he either planned to wait for the body to decompose or to bury the body under cement. The autopsy showed that Lindsay was beaten, raped, and strangulated for at least 3 minutes to death. The hunt for Tatsuya. Lindsay's parents flew all the way from UK to assist in any way they could to seek justice for their daughter. They spared no expense to assist in the search, flying multiple times to Japan to plead the public for help. The reward for information went up to 10 million yuans. Police released pictures of Tatsuya, including a picture of him disguised as a woman, and even printed full-sized cardboard of him. Police raided love hotels nearby as love hotels are a good spot to hide as they are usually without or with little surveillance. All of Tatsuya's sightings were fruitless. Unknowns to the police at this point, Tatsuya was hiding in one of the many islands of Japan, surviving off fishes and wildlife he caught. He never stayed too long at one same place. The most crazy thing, to prevent the public from identifying him, he attempted to perform plastic surgery on himself. He cut off the moles on his face and snipped his lips. But his self-performing surgery wasn't enough. He wanted a more drastic appearance change. He then started to search clinics to perform plastic surgeries on him, including a nose lift. This was a trap that he dug for himself, for that was how the police were finally able to track him. Many of the clinics performing these cosmetic surgeries would take a before and after picture for reference. It was when Tatsuya submitted his before picture, the clinic realized that they had suspected a person who was hiding. Along with this, another tip soon came in from Tatsuya's co-worker from a construction company. Tatsuya's fingerprint was taken from his dorm, confirming his identity and current known location. After 32 months of eluding the police, Tatsuya was finally arrested on a ferry terminal where he was bound for an island in Okinawa. Initially, Tatsuya was only charged for abandoning a body. For 23 days, the maximum allowed days of questioning, he refused to confess to murdering Lindsay. When he finally confessed, he said it was an accident. In court, Ichihasi admitted to suffocating Lindsay to prevent her from screaming for help while he raped her. On July 21, 2011, the Chiba District Court sentenced Ichihasi to life imprisonment for the murder of Lindsay Hawker. Lindsay Hawker family had requested the death penalty, but the court felt the death penalty was inappropriate. Because Ichihasi had no previous convictions and because at the age of 32 there was still a chance he could be rehabilitated. After 4.5 years, justice was served. Tatsuya Ichihasi was sentenced to life in prison. There is still a possibility that Tatsuya might be released after serving 10 years with his entitlement to parole if he meets the conditions required. When the verdict was finally released, Lindsay's father, Bill, thanked all those who helped out in the investigation. He added, Lindsay came here, she loved the children of Japan. I now feel as if Japan has not let her down. In 2013, Tatsuya released a book titled Until the Arrest 2 years and 7 months, where he recounted the times he was eluding the police. He offered the royalties to Lindsay's family and understandably so, they refused. He does not discuss his crime in the book but recounts his daily quest to avoid detection. He traveled between Aomori in Japan's north to Okinawa in the far south, and removed a mole from his face to alter his appearance, before paying for plastic surgery with cash earned during 13 months working on construction side. In his book, Ichihasi apologizes to Hawker and her family, saying the book was intended as a gesture of contrition for the crime I committed. What do you guys think? Is life imprisonment enough for killing someone, as there's still a possibility that Tatsuya might be released after serving 10 years with his entitlement to parole if he meets the conditions required?